would always choose life, and that was very empowering. So I saw these little babies that had the gift of life because of our work, and I felt really good about that. Now the NDP couldn't bear that. They couldn't bear that we were changing women's minds. So they said that we hated women and that we were filling them with propaganda. And they actually brought down an injunction. So now I always believed Canada was a free country. And when I was a criminal, I saw a lot of tolerance. 15 months for hostages and threatening people's lives and stealing buses. So when I got arrested in '94 for standing on a sidewalk, I had a little sign that said abortion kills children. And I prayed, and the police said I had to move away from the abortion clinic. Now I was standing on a public sidewalk. I thought when they put the handcuffs on me, I thought that's pretty bad because this is a public sidewalk, and of course the left protests all the time, and they don't get taken away. But I thought maybe $100 fine. That's what I thought I was going to get. The NDP, there was Attorney General Marion Boyd. She actually dispatched a special prosecutor to my case. Now, when I was taking hostages, I never had a special prosecutor. I just had your run-of-the-mill prosecutor, which probably was all I needed. They did the job. They could have asked for a little more prison time, but other than that, they did their job. The special prosecutor asked for 6 months for praying on a public sidewalk for myself, another woman by the name of Linda Gibbons, and a Catholic school teacher who had no criminal record at all, Rosemary Connell. I was quite amazed that I got my 6 months. Of course, I'm used to prison, so it didn't traumatize me any. Now, though, I had a different attitude. I worked as a nurse for a couple of years. I've been in church for about 4 years. Before, where I didn't fit into the prison and I was a behavior problem, the first thing I did, because I knew that the chaplain was a damn liberal and pro-gay, is I just opened up my own church. So in my cell, I announced that I had a church going, and by now I also had a seminary. I was going to seminary. I can't tell you guys everything. And I started counseling the inmates and teaching them scripture. And quite amazingly, some of these inmates would get out, and people in my church would run into them, maybe at a drop-in center, and they'd still talk about my church and how I ministered and met their needs. So really, when I was in the Don Jail, one of the most violent prisons in Canada, I was actually quite at home, and I was a range preacher. There were some black inmates, and we know that racism works two ways. They didn't like me at first, but I'll tell you, they tend to be very, very religious. And even though for the first day they wanted to beat me up because I was white, and then they also stole my blue jeans. And of course I'm a nurse, so I'm not really acting tough anymore, so I was just without blue jeans. And eventually someone gave me a radio pair, because you can't really run around the jail in your underwear all day. And so I got a radio pair of blue jeans, and I didn't have any tough reputation, but I still had my Bible. And eventually these blacks would see me with this Bible, and they had all messed up lives. Some of them had 4 kids with 4 different women. They were addicted to crack. But many of them came from Jamaica and from a religious Christian background. And they all, to a man, would agree with me on moral issues. It's just they couldn't live them out. So I did a lot of counseling with these guys. And then it was some of the white atheists who wanted to beat the hell out of me because I kept talking about God, and this was just ruining their negative atmosphere that they enjoyed. And so perversely, it was the blacks that would keep me from getting beaten up. They'd say, "You can't hit the range preacher. He does my counseling for my family. So you hit him, I hit you." It was kind of the safest experience I ever had. And even though the average education level here is grade 9, I found them to be far more stimulating than the wingnut teachers I had at Humber College when I was in nursing. And I found it to be far more tolerant. So now when my 6 months got done, I was confirmed that I wasn't going to give up. The day I got out is the day I went back to the abortuaries picketing. And how much time do I got still? 15 minutes? Okay, I better speed it up. I'm into 1994. Okay, anyways, I got arrested about 20 more times. I became known as Mr. Abortion. That's what the guards would call me when they saw me. One time they actually took away all my bed sheets and left me with one bed sheet, and took away my underwear and my socks. No other inmate had that kind of treatment. This was about the 20th time. And I can't prove it, but I'm going to speculate that it came from the Attorney General's office. I got the pro-life group and my church to telephone bombard the jail. And then they announced to the inmates that I was going to cause them to lose their TV privileges because they're getting all these calls. And inmates aren't the greatest thinkers in the world, and the idea that cons stick together is a bit of a myth.